You don't need to see what's in there, Erica. Just sell it and move on. That's what my sister, Natalie, said. Cold. Dismissive. But her voice shook. And when Natalie's voice shakes, it means she's lying. I stood in front of my late husband's garage, the metal door rusting at the corners, the padlock still smeared with his fingerprints. He'd been dead for 8 months. Car accident on Highway 290. No witnesses. No explanation. Just a twisted piece of guardrail, a totaled sedan, and a closed casket I wasn't allowed to open. The garage was the last thing he left behind. And until that day, I never had the courage to open it. But something changed. Natalie had shown up uninvited that morning. Her red lips too red. Her smile too forced. Let me handle it, she insisted. I know a buyer. Cash. Why was she pushing so hard? And why did she flinch when I held up the key? I stepped closer to the garage. My fingers trembled as I slid the key into the lock. Click. Behind me, Natalie exhaled. Too sharp. Too loud. Erica, please. Don't open it. That's when I knew whatever was inside wasn't just mine. It was hers, too. Let me take you back. My name's Erica Monroe, 38. Single mother of 2. My husband, Marcus, died 8 months ago. He was the love of my life. Or so I believed. We lived in South Austin. He ran a car detailing business. Modest. Quiet. He said the garage was his workspace. Said it was just tools, just grease. He lied. Because I'm about to tell you what I found inside. And why I will never forgive my family for what they did. When Marcus died, I fell apart. I stopped cooking. I stopped smiling. I stopped being. My kids, Jordan and Ava, were neglected. Not because I didn't love them, but because I was drowning. My mother? She said I was being dramatic. Natalie? She said I should start dating again. Even my own father, God rest his bitter soul, once told me, "You've grieved enough. He's not coming back." But grief wasn't my only problem. There were phone calls, blocked numbers, late-night knocks on the door that vanished when I peeked through the blinds. And once, I swear on everything I own, I saw Natalie walking out of the garage. At 2 a.m., she said she left something in there years ago. But that garage was always Marcus's domain. Always locked. Always forbidden. Until now. I opened the door. The air hit me first, thick, musty, mechanical. But underneath that something else. Rot? No. Not decay. Secrets. Stacks of boxes line the walls. A folded tarp in the corner. And a single red duffel bag, zipped tight, sitting on the workbench like it had been waiting for me. I took a step inside. Behind me, Natalie didn't follow. She just whispered, "Don't, Erica." Too late. I reached for the duffel, unzipped it, and what I saw made my knees buckle. Cash. Stacks of it. 10s, 20s, 50s. So much money, I couldn't count it. At least 100 grand. Maybe more. But that wasn't what made me sick. Underneath the cash were photos. My photos. Private. Intimate. Some I didn't even remember taking. And not just mine, photos of Marcus and another woman. Blonde. Thin. Younger. And then a contract. A will. Not the one I had signed at the lawyer's office. This one had Natalie's name on it. As beneficiary. My chest burned. I looked at the signature at the bottom. It was Marcus's handwriting. But the date? 3 days before he died. I turned around and looked at Natalie. She wasn't crying. She wasn't panicked. She was smiling. A slow, small, snake-like smile. And she said, "You weren't supposed to find that." That moment shattered every piece of my world. What was my sister doing with the secret will? Why did Marcus leave all that money behind? Why was I suddenly the villain in my own story? And how many lies had been stacked, box by box, inside that garage? I didn't know then that this was only the beginning. That what Natalie did next would push me to the edge of madness. That my children would be dragged into this mess. That the betrayal ran much deeper than I imagined. But I made a decision that day. I was done grieving. I was done crying. And I was done being manipulated. I was going to find the truth, even if it destroyed what little I had left. I should have buried her, not him. That thought hit me like a sledgehammer as I sat in my car outside my own house, watching my sister through the kitchen window, laughing. With my children. My children. After everything she did. Natalie. The same woman who smiled when I unzipped that duffel bag and saw what she helped Marcus hide. Money. Fake documents. Another will. All in his handwriting. But none of it made sense. Why would Marcus rewrite his will and name Natalie as the sole beneficiary of his unofficial assets? Why would my husband leave behind a hidden pile of cash that I never knew existed? Unless it wasn't just his secret. Let me take you back. The day of Marcus's funeral was a blur of black dresses, fake tears, and family tension so thick you could cut it with a burial shovel. Natalie insisted on handling everything. She said I was too emotional to plan his memorial. She said he deserved a clean goodbye. But here's the truth. Marcus didn't want a funeral. He told me that 3 months before he died. I want to disappear, he had said, standing in our backyard, staring at the stars. No flowers. No priest. Just vanish. I laughed. That's morbid. He didn't smile. Looking back now, maybe he knew something. Maybe he knew what he was about to do. The funeral was picture perfect. Too perfect. Natalie hired a choir, rented a luxury hearse, had custom programs printed with a Bible verse Marcus never cared about. She spoke at the podium with quivering lips and dry eyes. I lost a brother-in-law, but more than that, I lost a best friend. Best friend? They barely spoke. Or so I thought. Afterward, she whispered in my ear, I know this is hard, but it's also a chance to move on. Move on? He hadn't even been lowered into the ground. I remember gripping the casket edge until my nails cracked, whispering, You promised you'd never leave me. And I swear I saw Natalie smirk when I said it. That night, I opened his phone. It had been returned to me by the police weeks after the accident. Nothing important, they said. Mostly damaged. Locked. But I'd found a way in. Marcus used the same 4-digit code for everything. Our wedding anniversary. Inside were texts he had deleted, but not backed up. Except the cloud never lies. And what I found there, it made my blood run cold. Messages. Dozens. Between Marcus and Natalie. Marcus. I don't know how much longer I can lie to her. Natalie. You just need to hold out until the paperwork clears. Marcus. What about the kids? Natalie. They'll be fine. She's stronger than she looks. And besides, you won't be far. Not far? He was dead. Buried. Or was he? The next day, I confronted my mother. I showed her the texts, the garage photos, the will. Her face went pale. Erica, you don't understand. Explain it. He was trying to protect you. Protect me? From what? From you? From Natalie? My mother sat down slowly, like her knees couldn't hold the weight of her guilt. She reached into her purse and handed me something. A key. To a safety deposit box. Marcus left it with me 2 days before he died. I stared at her, stunned. You never thought to tell me? She avoided my eyes. Because he told me not to. He said if you ever found out what he was doing, you'd hate him. She was right. I already did. That night, I checked the kids' tablets. Jordan, my 10-year-old, had drawings saved in a locked folder. Drawings of a man who looked like Marcus standing in front of a different house, holding hands with a blonde woman. Ava, my 7-year-old, had saved voice notes. One of them played softly through the speaker. Don't tell Mommy I visited. It's our little secret, okay? I dropped the tablet. Marcus hadn't died. He had disappeared. He had faked his death. And my own family helped him do it. I couldn't sleep. My hands trembled as I opened that garage again, needing to be sure. I dug deeper. Past the duffel. Past the tools. I found a sealed envelope tucked into a hollowed-out tire. Inside, a fake death certificate. Plane tickets. A passport. A new name, Mark Sanders. Destination? Puerto Rico. Departure date? 3 days after his death. I collapsed to the floor. The betrayal wasn't just Marcus's. It was Natalie's. My mother's. Even the police, they hadn't investigated. They'd closed the case in 2 weeks. And here I was, raising 2 children, losing my sanity, clinging to grief. While the man who promised me forever was living a new life, on a new island, with a new woman. I stood up. I wiped my face. And I said the words that would define the rest of my life. They thought I'd break. Instead, I'll burn everything they built. Natalie thought she won. She had the money, the forged will, the silence. But now I had the truth. And soon, she'd have nothing. You're not going to find him, Erica. That's what Natalie said when I showed her the envelope. The fake passport. The plane tickets. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't scared. She was calm. And I knew in that moment. Natalie didn't think I had the guts. But I've been quiet long enough. My name is Erica Monroe. And I'm not grieving anymore. I'm hunting. I went back to the garage that night. This time with gloves, a flashlight, and a notepad. I scanned every corner like I was back at the crime lab. I used to work for a PI firm in my 20s. A different life. Before Marcus. Before motherhood. Before betrayal sharpened my instincts like broken glass under bare feet. And now, I was the case. The tire with the hollowed-out envelope had more than just that one set of documents. Taped beneath the shelf was a burner phone. Dead battery. Old model. But I had a portable charger and just enough rage to push through the exhaustion. When it powered on, there were only 3 contacts. N. MS. Cabo Tools. I started with N. Natalie, obviously. Text history was mostly deleted. Except one message. N. Don't let her open the garage. She won't stop once she does. Too late. Then MS. Marcus's alias. Mark Sanders. MS. Tell Ava I'll bring the seashell next week. She loves blue ones. Seashell? That explained the small blue shell I found under Ava's pillow 2 months ago. The one she said, Daddy left for me in a dream. God. How long had he been sneaking visits to his own children while I cried myself to sleep in the next room? Then I clicked on Cabo Tools. Not a person. A drop location. A list of tracking numbers. Offshore wire instructions. Storage units in Corpus Christi, San Juan, even Tulum. Marcus wasn't just hiding. He was laundering money. He was preparing. And Natalie? She was the middlewoman. The next day, I visited the bank. Used the key my mother gave me. The safety deposit box had only one item. A handwritten letter. Not to me. To Natalie. If she ever finds this, we're done. She's smarter than I thought. Tell her whatever you have to, lie, cry, blame me, but do not let her dig. We're too close. M. That was the final nail. My husband was alive. And my family, my blood, had helped him vanish. So, I made a plan. First, I pulled the deed to Natalie's condo. Guess who co-signed? Marcus. Under the alias Mark Sanders. Second, I hired someone. Remember I said I used to work for a PI firm? Well, I called in a favor from the best tracker I knew, Jesse Bain. Former DEA. Now off the grid, low profile. All grit. I sent him the data dump from the burner phone. He called me back the next day. You're not gonna like this, Erica. Try me. I tracked those wire transfers. They're bouncing between 3 shell companies. All clean. But one of the final receivers is a property manager in Rinson, Puerto Rico. And guess who leased a cliffside villa 2 weeks before Marcus's death? I already knew the answer, but my chest still squeezed when he said it. Mark Sanders. With a female co-tenant, Natalie Monroe. I stared at myself in the mirror that night. Tired eyes, cracked lips, no makeup. But underneath that, fury, ice, fire. Natalie had moved in with my husband. They built a new life with my children's inheritance. They left me to rot, to spiral, to lose myself in grief, while they sipped cocktails under palm trees. No more. That weekend, Natalie asked to take the kids to the park. To give me a break, she said. I let her, but I followed. She didn't go to the park. She went to a P.O. box. And she wasn't alone. A man handed her an envelope.
Tall, tan,
Bald. When she turned around, I snapped a photo. Then I followed her home. After she tucked Ava into bed, I knocked. She opened the door with a smirk. Forgot something, she said. Yeah, I replied. My dignity, my husband, my life. I pushed past her and dropped the photo on her kitchen island. You're slipping, Natalie. He was supposed to be dead, remember? She flinched, and that's when I saw it, fear. The first crack in her flawless shell. You wouldn't dare expose him, she whispered. I stepped closer. I'm not exposing him, Natalie.
I leaned in.
I'm destroying you first. Now I have everything. The burner phone, the photos, the documents, the bank wires, the property records. I contacted a lawyer, one who doesn't blink when things get ugly. We're filing an emergency injunction, freezing Natalie's accounts. But I'm not stopping there. I'm getting custody of my kids back, fully and legally. I'm suing Marcus. Yes, Mark Sanders, for fraud, abandonment, and emotional abuse. And when the dust settles, I'm flying to Puerto Rico, not to find him, to stand in front of him, to look him in the eyes, and to say the last words he'll ever hear from me. You faked your death to escape your life?
Good.
Because what's coming next will make you wish you stayed dead. I wore black, not because I was mourning, but because I was about to bury everything that kept me silent. 3 days after freezing Natalie's accounts, I booked a one-way ticket to Puerto Rico. No bags. No warning. No one knew I was coming. Not even Jesse, the ex-DEA tracker who gave me Marcus's exact address. Rinson. Ocean cliffs. Palm trees dancing like everything was peaceful here. But nothing was peaceful. Because he was here. My husband, Marcus Monroe. Or, as the lease called him, Mark Sanders. The villa was ivory and glass, a fortress wrapped in money and lies. Gated. Private. But I didn't knock. I walked around the back, where jungle met the cliff, cut through thick brush, and followed the sound of a guitar. That same rhythm he used to hum when he folded our laundry on Sundays. I froze. He was on the patio.
Alive.
Playing guitar. Wearing sunglasses, board shorts, and smiling. Like the past 2 years hadn't gutted me. And beside him, Natalie. Her hand on his thigh. Laughing. I stepped onto the deck. And when Natalie turned and saw me, her wine glass slipped from her fingers and shattered. Marcus stood. His smile died. I stared at the man I once loved and said, surprise. I brought hell with me. Erica, Marcus whispered. I didn't blink. Don't say my name like you still have the right. Natalie's voice cracked. How did I find you? You really thought you could stage a death and keep it buried in Texas soil? I laughed bitterly. I opened your grave, Marcus. Found your secrets. One by one. He dropped the guitar and stepped toward me, hands raised. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me? I screamed. You faked your death. Abandoned your kids. Had them talking to you through dreams and lies. Left me drowning in grief. While you were here, building paradise with my sister? He looked at Natalie. She looked away. Cowards. Both of them. He tried to reach for me. I stepped back. You don't touch me. You don't speak to me unless it's through a lawyer or a court. Natalie finally spoke. We didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. No, I snapped. It didn't just happen. You made it happen. You lied. You planned. You forged legal documents, and you let me rot while you played house with my husband. Marcus's voice was low, shameful. It was supposed to be temporary. So was your life, apparently. I dropped a manila folder onto the table between us. Custody papers. Frozen assets. A civil lawsuit for emotional damages, fraud, and theft. I'm suing you both. Marcus blinked. You don't have proof. I stepped forward, eyes burning. I have the garage. I have the burner phone. I have Jesse Bain's full report. I have video of Natalie collecting cash from your offshore courier, and I have Ava's voice recordings of your late-night visits. His face crumbled. Good. I wanted him to crumble. I wanted him to feel every ounce of the pain I'd swallowed. You think I came here to cry? I said, voice sharp. I came here to show you what a mother does when you betray her, when you rob her kids of their father, when you make her question her own sanity. I turned to Natalie. You are my sister. You knew I was breaking. You knew I was barely breathing, and you poured gasoline on my grief. For what?
Money?
Him? Power? Tears rolled down her face. I felt nothing. You wanted paradise? I whispered. Now you get a courtroom. I turned, ready to leave. But Marcus's voice broke behind me. I loved you. I stopped, looked over my shoulder. No, I said. You loved control, and now you've lost it. Back in Austin, the case made headlines within days. Faked death scheme exposed by grieving wife. Sister and husband sued after shocking discovery in garage. Austin mother reclaims life after betrayal. Marcus was arrested for fraud, child abandonment, and conspiracy. Natalie? She lost her condo.
Her job.
Her reputation. She tried to apologize once, sent me a letter. I never opened it. My kids? They're healing.
Slowly.
Jordan started drawing again. This time, superheroes who don't lie. Ava sleeps with the lights off now.
And me?
I found myself again. Not the version Marcus shaped. Not the one my mother silenced. Not the shadow Natalie tried to erase. The real me. Because this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about survival. It was about reclaiming power. One secret, one lie, one scream at a time. They thought they buried me in grief. But I was the storm rising from it.